Our trip got underway on the Saturday morning, and our first stop was a cafe in Clare where we had some breakfast. The roadkill banquet at Parachilna Prairie Hotel was very good. We highly recommend it if you're travelling through there. You need to book in advance.
Your stupid phone wanted to...
The music went quiet. What are you eating, Beverly?
You're knocky.
Driving to and charge up in the car.
And everywhere in between, they come from everywhere. So everywhere in between, they come from everywhere. So there's going to be people from all over Australia. Fantastic place to be celebrating life. They got leave them at the back of their tent.
We're at Lee Creek Eco Village, which has been built for the coal mine at Lee Creek, which is now shut down, and the workers' huts are all now open for eco stays. We seem to be the only ones here, mind you. The truck's fitted with 2 batteries, one under this air filter on that side and a matching one on this side. What I found when we were leaving Adelaide is that the car wouldn't start first thing on the Saturday morning that we were leaving, and later I discovered that the battery on this side had dropped a cell, so I've disconnected it. So the positive terminal on this side is sort of taped up there away from the positive terminal. The 2 batteries are in parallel, so by doing that we're getting all our 12 volts from the battery on that side, and that battery on that side seems okay. So initially when they were connected together and this one was dragging things down to about 11 volts, it wasn't wanting to start, and by disconnecting it and using the solar cells to charge up just that battery, we've got it up over 12.5 volts or something, and it was enough to start it. So otherwise the engines run fine. Haven't been able to use the 1000 watt inverter that I've got fitted in here because I didn't have any battery power. I've been botting AC power from other people to charge my Makita batteries to run my CPAP machine and things. So that was one of our issues, was the batteries. There was water over the road and mud was thrown up on the vehicle a bit, but we also copped a big stone chip. I don't know whether you can see it there. We bought a kit while we were at the bash that filled there's two spots close together from the one rock, and a big piece of glass actually broke out, and we put resin on it to stop the cracking and to patch that. I think it could do a little bit more resin, and I think we've got a little bit more resin in the kit to finish that off. I don't know what you can see on the camera, but that's a second incident we had, as a potentially broken windscreen. Another problem was this whole heater system just fell down. It's heater and air conditioning. We really haven't needed air conditioning. We could have done with a working heater, but the heater didn't work anyway. I've got the radiator core disconnected, but yeah, that dropped down out of the blue while we were chuffing along. There was a time before we got to Murray on the way up that an engine light came up on the dash. We thought, well, should we be leaving Moree with a check engine light up on the dash? And we decided we'd keep going. There was still not a overheating or oil pressure problem, so we kept going. At the next stop we turned the engine off and then restarted it, and the engine check light had cleared itself, so we pushed on up the Birdsville track. This is some of the gear jammed in behind the seats. Tool kits and things had to be pulled out, Makita kits, everything, every tool I own was pulled out on this trip to fix something, and it was a good job I had all the stuff. Jumper leads there we used at Birdsville before I diagnosed the battery problem, and a fire extinguisher fortunately didn't have to get used. We're actually bringing back nearly as much beer and wine as we took. Didn't do a lot of drinking while we were there. That's a food container at the top there, which is only down about a quarter, and pots and pans below that. So the truck needs a good wash when it gets home. Spare wheels still fitted to this rear driver's side corner. Didn't see any real reason to take it off and put the alloy rim back on. The alloy rim, we got the tyre casing that I bought with us as a spare mounted on the rim, and rather than mount it up in its normal location underneath the back of the truck, I've just still got it on the floor in the truck on the bed here underneath the solar panel. The solar panels I didn't tuck away in its original position because if we had starting problems we may have been having to rely on that for boost the battery up a bit. So the actual mount to hold the spare wheel and the bolts for the spare wheel stuff that normally sling up underneath the back of the truck have been taken off and chucked in here as well, and everything's covered in a great layer of dust. The bed's covered in a brown sheet, which will try and keep some of the dirt out of the quilts and things, but we've managed. The other problem we had was this canopy was coming loose. Up the front in the corner there's a bolt down which doubled as a point for tying the quad bikes down from up that side, and also up along in that corner. Both of those rattled loose on the Birdsville track, and the front of the canopy was bouncing around. I think the whole canopy's actually moved forward. These brackets have twisted forward because the canopy's moved, but they're the clamps on the rear. But the clamps at the front are really just bolts that go down into the side of the tub, and this tear in the tub here is related to the movement of the canopy, and it hasn't actually got any worse looking at it from this trip, but yeah, it just would have been a mess if the canopy had been torn off on a bounce. And so we've been fixing the canopy. We've done the spare wheel. The canopy came loose a couple of times more, and I've had to climb in and tighten down bolts and get the drill out and drill better holes in blocks of wood to try and keep it bolted down securely. But we've got by. I think it's going to be fine now on smooth roads to get it back to Adelaide. So the final thing, this gas strut on the rear, the end of it has come off, and so it's not holding the window up. I've got this temporary piece of conduit jammed in there between the bottom of the gas strut and there to hold the window open for me. I'm hoping to find the piece that's rattled off here in under the mattress when we pull everything apart, but I think those gas struts are fucked anyway, so probably due for another set of them. I think that finishes a front to back review of the problems we've had while we've been away, and fortunately I'd say none of them are particularly serious because we haven't needed really any help to get by. Neil charged a couple of batteries for me, and Greg charged a couple of Makita batteries for me, which kept my CPAP machine going, so that was a little bit of external help that we got to get by, and otherwise we've survived, and it's a smooth road home. The Friday morning between Lee Creek and Quorn, we came across some fog, and then it cleared very quickly. We stopped at the Quandong Cafe in Quorn for a breakfast. Get out to your shed and have some fun.